Good morning, ladies. How are we all doing? So as the type 2 on the committee, I wanted to pop on and share some info that maybe would be super helpful that you need to know. And then I also wanted to pop on and share some details about how to make a decision quickly as a type 2. Sorry. As a type 2, this is how I make it. I wanted to share a tip on how I make decisions quickly and then allow my nature to process later. So it is a possibility, Anyway, I wanted to share it because I've shared this tip, I've learned this tip, and then I've practiced it with my family, and I've practiced it with friends. And the beautiful thing with my family is that we are all 1s, 2s, and 4s. So I know the type 3s can make their decisions fast. And so now I know how to do it for other types. So I'm going to let a few people hop on before I share that tip. So we have, actually I'm going to put this down. I can talk with my hands. We have this beautiful thing where there's a lot of details to process and to consider. And the relevant details right now are, how the cruise details are up, and then it's how are you going to get to the cruise. So you're going to want to check on your own airfare. I can do airfare through the cruise line, but it's going to be upcharged. So it's probably going to be better for you to find your own airfare. Google Flights is a great place to track airfare, and you can put in a track and be notified when airfare goes down or goes up, so that you can tell when it goes down and it's dropped to a price you want to pay. Snag it. So I really like Google Flights, and then you're going to want to consider a hotel room. So what I personally recommend is it's going to be easier if everyone flies in the day before and stays at a hotel right there in the airport. Because then what we can do the next morning is get a shuttle for all of us to go to the port, and that's going to cost way less than getting transfers through the cruise line. So I really love to figure out budget way of cruising and vacationing. And so if at all possible, I'm going to pass those tips on to you. And then the cruise fare itself does include a $75 fee that we are using to either do swag bags or other options. So we've built that into the cruise fare just so that we can have options to do as a group. The other thing is, as we book as a group, we then get credits with the cruise line to put towards group meeting space. And that's kind of really important, because if a group gets very big and you start gathering on the ship can get cranky about that because you didn't do it through a normal group reservation. So it's really important to that as we book, that we can get those credits so that we can do this and keep everyone happy, because that's the whole point of the cruise. And then there's a few details that some people are wanting to consider for the back end, and that's the after party. Right now we're talking about just doing one day at Disney World and one day at Universal, and then I will be there longer to do any more Disney World that people want to do. And that I'm looking at rooms, and we can do 4-door room, and the rooms are going to cost about $250 a night. So divide that by 4, and you can know that 1 or 2 nights of that is pretty economical. And again, if we're all staying in the same place and we're all sharing rooms, we can get shuttles together, and that's usually cheaper than Ubering it individually to wherever we need to go. So those are just some things to consider. Okay, so now that I have a few people watching, I want to share with you how a type 2 or a type 1 or a type 4 can make a decision quickly and then figure out the details later. Okay? So I share this because I was offered to go on a cruise with some girls that I met on a cruise. So I met them on a cruise in January, and then they were like, hey, do you want to go on a cruise with us in September? And I was like, yeah, I do. I want to. But I didn't do this one thing. I didn't ask myself if it was supportive to. And when you're asking yourself if it's supportive to you, you need to make those decisions out of your body. Somewhere in your body is your truth center. It can be your heart, it can be your gut, but you need to make those decisions. So what I ended up doing was, I want to go. How do I make this happen? And I looked at all the options, and you guys, it was $1,000 for one person to share a stateroom for a 3-day cruise in the Bahamas. And I was like, I don't pay that kind of money ever. That's too expensive in my world. So I left these girls hanging for like 2 months while I was trying really hard to figure this out. And then ultimately I was like, I'm not going. This isn't worth it. Now, if I had asked myself if it was supportive to go right on the front end, when I ask myself that question, what I end up doing is I tap into all the knowledge of the universe, and then I pull down a download. And I would have said, it's not supportive to go. And I would have felt really sad, and I would have processed the emotion, and then I would have moved on. And I would have just said, it's not supportive for me to go, guys. And I ended up saying that in the long run when I was like, I can't make the numbers work. I'm sorry, it's not supportive for me to go. And that was all before airfare. It was ridiculous. So ask yourself, is it supportive to go? And if it is yes, then ask, is now the right time to go? Because both those questions are really, really important. When they both answer yes, then no, great. I'm going to throw my name in on the Google form. I'm going to figure out when I can get that $50 down deposit in, and I'm going to move forward with this, and everything else will work out. I also want to add, this has been on my mind. When I first learned about DYT and had finally decided, after going over all the details and ruminating, that I wanted to be a part of this community, it was in January, several years ago. And at the beginning of January, New Year, my husband and I had sat down and we had gone through the entire budget, and we had everything budgeted to the penny that month. So it's 5 days into the month. I decide that I want to pay for the lifestyle course. And it was $100. And one thing I had seen Carol say was, never use your husband as an excuse, and never use money as an excuse. Own your own power and move forward with that. And I was kind of like, yeah, I can do that. Because, feed off at type 3. And so I bought the course on a credit card. And I was like, I am sure by the end of the month, something will work out and I'll have $100 to pay for this course. So I was already manifesting without knowing it. My husband was flipping mad. I mean, so furious. But that was a moment where I just held my ground and I was like, nope, I'm doing this and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to make this happen. And I did. So sometimes it's way too easy to go to either of those options, and they can be real options. I'm just saying that when it really boils down to it, is it supportive for you and is it the right time? And if those two go together, everything else, all the other details will work out. But those are 2 questions you can ask yourself now, so you know if now's the right opportunity to go or not. Everyone's already talking about making this an annual thing, and we'll have to figure out that after the cruise so we know what's going to work out for everybody. So go with me on this. If you know, okay, yes, it's supportive to go, and yes, it's the right time, fill out the Google form. And if you need more time to get that $50 in, just message me and I'll give you the timeline on what we need. Because the more people who commit and pay, they give a little more, we have more wiggle room for those that need a little more time. So I just want to pop that out there. A few ideas. Does anyone have questions that I haven't already answered? I have this whole, I've gone on cruises before, I've planned people's vacations before, so I know all the details of all of it. It's just a matter of what have I spit out and what have I not? What have I forgotten to tell you? Or what is later down the line so I haven't told you that maybe you need to know? So just, if you have a question, pop it up so I can see. And we'll just see what it is. I'm trying to think to myself, any other questions? As far as Disney tickets go, if you're only going for 1 day, it's not a ticket that is probably worth me processing for you. So you can just go on and look at the 1 day prices. Disney World has per day ticket prices. They change every day. So you'd want to go onto the website and click what day we'll be going, which would be February 3rd. We'll get off the ship, we'll get a shuttle, we'll go directly to Disney World, and then we'll go. So February 3rd would be the day. I don't know, look that up. I think we're going to need a passport. Yes, you need a passport. They will check it. They sometimes check it when you get off the ship in the Bahamas. It's not the Bahamas that are cranky about your passport. It's the U.S. government. It's coming back into the border that is always the problem. Like, I remember going into Canada, no problem. But coming back in the U.S., it's like military grossness. So yes, you do need a passport. I'm giving you a tip there though. If you don't already have a passport, you can get a passport card. It costs way less, and it is for land and sea travel. So it's not good for air travel. So if you have a passport card and you're a US citizen, you can just use that to get on the boat, and it literally looks like a driver's license. Way less. Passports, you're gonna wanna go to, I think you just need to Google it. You want to go to your local passport office, and sometimes that's in your city hall. Sometimes it's in a nearby town, where you go and you pay for your passport, and you process it, and you give them the documents, and then you pay for the fee right there. You do want to go to some place like Walgreens or Costco to get a passport photo, so that you can put that on your passport. Don't try to take one with your own phone. It's kind of a disaster. I've tried that too many times. Yep, post offices have the passport form. They can't always process it though, but they have the form. Ariane, I can't see your question. It goes into see more. You live in Orlando and would love to hang out. Oh yeah, that is a possibility. If the cruise is not a possibility for you, but we want to be part of the after party, that's something where we probably need to start a thread or something. Committee members, I don't know. But we can do an after party. So if you live in Orlando, or it's easy for you to get to Orlando for those few days, we can do an after party. And my plan is currently to stay in Orlando until February 10th, which means my after party can last a long time. But if that is not a possibility for you, just however long you want to be there, you can join us for it. So yes, please join us at Disney. Okay, that's all the questions that have come in so far. Anyone else? If you do want to buy a ticket and you want to go to Disney for 3 days or longer, I'm happy to process your ticket. It's going to cost the same to process it through me or the website. I am a travel agent. I do get commissions on that. And it's not so much the commissions. It's the more I process through, the more they're like, okay, you can stay a travel agent. Sometimes that's helpful too. So whatever you want, but I'm happy to do that for you. So I think that's it. Okay, so there's a few questions for now, and hopefully that covers it. So just to go reiterate the cruise fare, it really is just, I'm giving you the cruise fare that I'm getting from the Royal Caribbean, and then it's just that extra fee for us to do some sort of DYT something special, and so we've made that fee $75. It won't be applicable if you're bringing a baby, and it won't be applicable if you're bringing a husband, because they don't get to be part of all that fun stuff anyway. So that fee won't be applied to their cruise fare when we process it, just so you know. You're welcome. It's really fun. I love planning vacations, and this one is just taking it all over the roof, and I love it. It's so much fun to do this. So you're so welcome. All right. Pop up any questions if you have them. But for now, I think that covers it. Bye, ladies.